Hi, this is Frantz, Kantor, cartoonist, illustrator and toon talker. I'm here with
Jim Bridges, and I'm the president of the Australian Cartoon Museum.
Huzzah!
And we're doing Rick and Morty,
Book one. Yeah, published by Adult Swim. Rick and Morty, for those that don't know, is an Adult Swim cartoon. It's currently, I think, in its third season or fourth season, and it's a very, very, very popular cartoon show.
And they're back from the future.
Well, yes, they're back from the future.
Yeah.
So it's kind of combining several different things. This is almost like a Stargate effect.
Going through the water effect's always the best way.
Well, yeah. So it's so like Back to the Future or Doctor Who,
Unless
you've got
you
a
walk
time
through
traveling
mirrors like Alice did. They're the only two ways that are really effective.
Well, yeah, but this is more of a. It's like if Doctor Who or Stargate or Back to the Future actually had some element of science or thought about science. The way that Futurama refers to science in a lot of their stories. So it's a good sort of take on that.
Can I open the page now? Can I open the page now?
Alright, the sound chip, baby, on a cover.
Sound chip.
Futuristic stuff. We got a sound chip up in this cover. Man, I can't believe this sound chip. I can't believe this sound chip.
So
I can't believe it either.
yeah, it's a book with a sound chip.
That's right.
Rick and Morty, Book 1. Created by Dan Harmon, Justin Roiland. Edited.
What year?
Ari Yarwood. Collection designed by Henry Thompson.
No year.
This would be 2017. 2016, sorry.
Oh, last year.
See, I went back in time. I went forward in time.
Did you?
So, Rick and Morty, the WUBBA Lubba Dub Love of Wall Street, Part 1. Now, this is a comic that refers to this is like before the current series where the husband has been dumped. He's left the family. There's Morty, there's Rick. Rick is the doc character.
The family
He's
dumped
the
him, or he
grandfather.
left the family?
He wanted them to ask him not to leave.
Oh, okay.
But they didn't.
Yeah.
This is Morty's sister and Morty's mum, and this is an adventure. So it looks kind of like The Simpsons or like Family Guy or American Dad or something. Establishing shot.
Yeah.
You know, typical American suburban family life, and you know, with all of the action centering around what happens in the garage, which of course is Grandpa's
That's where it all happens
workshop.
in the garage. Yeah.
That's where it all happens. So. Sorry. So the adventures happen from the garage, where he invents something and takes them into another.
I like how that's just taped on.
Adventure.
The torch is just taped on.
Well, his whole life is taped on.
Is it?
I mean, usually he's drawn with this sort of perpetual vomit.
Always hanging on the top, yeah.
Yeah, so he's sort of
And
like one drink away from rehab.
Apparently he drinks, yes, apparently.
Does he? Really? Yeah. So the idea there he's drinking. So
you do see him drinking.
Well, he's a terrible role model, but the whole idea of him is that he's
He's the guy from Superman, Mr. Whatever is he? You know, the character who...
Yeah, there's a lot of pop culture references in the characters. So yeah,
I like the continuous eyebrow. That's very...
the monobrow.
Yeah, it just simplifies everything.
Yeah, there's a lot of... I mean, the show is like this. It looks very sort of crude in many ways, but you'll see later on in this comic book, it starts to get quite sophisticated.
So is this turning the comic into...
turning the show into a comic.
No, is it a comic and they're all these being collected and put in a stiff back?
Or these are different stories in the animation.
Well, that's Vermeer's Lady with a Pearl.
Yeah.
And that's, what's his name? Russo, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So these are stories that complement the story arc of the animated series. And this has been put together in a book form now.
You're going for the Japanese market here.
Yeah. Well, you see...
Do they own a shop, Morty's or something? What's going on here?
There's multiple dimensions, you see.
Yeah.
But the whole idea of this is to is to sort of whet your taste with the normal, you know, the normal or the subnormal or the abnormal, and then you get into the hypernormal.
Now,
same with the series.
What's
It'll
the
gradually
story about
dawn
the
on
dots
you
in
where
the
they're
eyes?
going.
Now,
and
what's the
happening.
story about the dots in the eyes? Because
When we get closer, I'll show you a little bit about that. They're
is there a story there? Because
well,
I've only watched one episode, and it just kept on.
all the characters don't have circles in the eyes. These are like little hairballs or little furry stars or something.
And
So
they
they're scribbles.
actually move. Some of them move, and they.
Yeah, they're very, very small. Yeah, they're very, very small.
So in part 2.
Yeah. So in part 1, this is the coloring.
Where's Wall
is
Street? I
such
want
a-
to see Wall
such a-
Street.
Part 2, you start to see more sophisticated use of color. Did they reference the colored by Ryan Hill? Did Ryan Hill do the first one, I wonder? He did, but he really went to town with this. So these are really good.
Would you control that soundbite?
Yeah.
It keeps bouncing out.
Yeah, these are really good colors. Really good colors. So, you know, some good stuff. You have to understand, if you love the show, you'll love the comic. It fits in beautifully, you know. This isn't part of the show. Some of the characters come from the show, I think. Maybe. This would be like comparable to season 2, probably. It's quite interesting. They're all on character. All the characters. So it's pretty, you know, true to the animated series, which it'd have to be. So all of the expressions are there. You know, you can the ball patch in the back of his head, which is not always evident. There's a lot of very inventive stuff. The show is very interesting in terms of its inventiveness, and it's trying very hard to sort of give you the confusion of science, of the different complex, you know, cause and effect elements of science, and it tries to sort of
T-Rex fossil.
well, it tries to sort of debunk a lot of society's givens, like religion and politics and you know, control, conspiracy theories. There's nothing really that it hasn't had a crack at.
And they're time travelers, so they can go anywhere.
Well, the idea, yes, but he's not like Doc or Doctor Who.
Yeah.
This guy, you know, Rick, is very, very abrasive.
So he doesn't know where he's going. He can't.
No, he
it's
does.
It's accidental.
No,
He does. He knows where he's going.
He makes Rick think it's accidental, but it's not really accidental. But when he does do an accident, it's sort of like it's an accident to him at the time, but then a future him will reveal that it's not an accident at all.
A future him. Okay.
Yeah. So there's a lot of that sort of crossover of cause and effect.
Pretty unusual comic panel, isn't it?
Yeah. That's more sophisticated use of color. It's really good stuff. It's really cool. I like this. Skitter, skitter. See? Skitter, skitter. You don't use I like when they use sound effects that they're unusual. Grook, you know, unusual, not the normal stuff. Well, that's slam, bang, bang. What's the matter with you? But there you go, kasplutch. What does kasplutch mean? It means when you step on someone's face
and they lose
they lose a tooth. That's the sound it makes.
We'll have to put that in a dictionary.
Yeah. So, you know, true to the animation, you know, every little panel, they're not dots here, they're little scribbles, tiny little scribbles where the eyes are. It's a very interesting thing. I must find out more about
Wouldn't that
this.
be hard to do technically? Like, you know, because
I don't know.
just leave a dot is circular, therefore it's left.
There must be a reason. There's a reason for that. I don't know what it is. Beautiful color again. This very lovely use of color. I wish the series had that beautiful color as well. It does occasionally, but for the most part, it's pretty normal. This is the time walk, the famous time walk. So I mean, look at that. It's a beautiful scene, pre-dawn, and even the colors, the choice of colors for this episode, this scene. Sorry, episode number 7.
Does he drag things back with him all the time?
Yeah,
he shouldn't.
Well, no, he goes into the past and into the future and into other worlds.
Okay.
So the premise is he can do pretty much anything. It's kind of like Doctor Who. He can zip around, backwards and forwards and into different planets and things like that. And same with this, this. I mean, it's like he
Charles
is so
Foster Kane.
prevalent.
Charles Foster Kane.
Well, the idea of Rick is he's travelled so much without his nephew, without his grandson. He's travelled so much in time and space that he's everywhere. He's prevalent in all the planets and all the solar systems, and he's either a villain or a hero, depending on who you talk to. So it's a very
the colour's really interesting in this book. The colour's really interesting.
Yeah. The book, there's a great sense of storytelling within the colours.
They couldn't use this colour in the series because it's too
colourful. It's too colourful. I mean, they do occasionally, but I would say that in production, this would be very expensive.
So he dies.
A version of him. See? A version.
Mothballs as opposed to mothballs.
Yeah. So, so he references a lot of stuff in the story, but this is lovely. It's really beautiful. It's a song. So you can do a lot with a comic. It's different storytelling method than cartoon, animated cartoon, obviously. But look at that. That's straight out of Kawaii, isn't it? That sort of droopy lips expressions. So a lot of Japanese cultures coming into American animation, and both from manga and from anime and from Kawaii and from what's the little chibis and a lot of stuff. So yeah, it just comes in. I mean, you'll see it eventually. Yeah, see, they do that again in Adventure Time and things. So it's not everybody's taste with the character designs, but they're disarmingly crude, disarmingly simple. There's a payoff to Freddy Krueger with testicle chin.
One's a walnut.
Well, I don't know what it means. Anyway, it just looks stupid. See here, the points are sort of swapped.
You mustn't take your hat off. Oh.
He's a monobrow.
You mustn't take your hat off.
That must be... Is that Rick? Is that Scary Terry? No, it's Scary Terry. It's not Rick. So, where's Rick in this story?
Yeah. Everybody's greatest fear.
Yeah. Yeah. There he is. So...
Why do you need toilet humour when you can have toilet horror?
Yeah. The Rickfinity crisis. So there's a lot of, pop culture nods in the stories, in the titles. There's the latest one, I think last week was Rick became a pickle, became Pickle Rick. You have to see it to believe it. So the whole idea of this is so outlandish and anything can happen, and frequently does. So that just makes it more and more interesting of what adventures they may happen and how they're going to react to it and what's going to happen and how it will end, And here's...
Is this a takeoff on the Arnie movie?
Probably. There's a lot of different things in there. So, here's Morty's mum. And there's another version of Morty, Rickfinity. So Grandpa Rick has this, because he travels through time, he just leaves these
It'd be interesting
story
if they made an animated feature, if they made a feature to use
over.
this sort of colour. It'd be really nice.
I've seen a cartoon show with very subtle colours, but I think it's very expensive. I think it's very expensive to do this in production. I mean, there's a certain different pace of reading a comic book than it is with an animated show that plays out in front of you. If you keep changing the colors, you know, too fast, you start to lose continuity.
Well, I remember
if you go from that to that
in the Prince of Egypt, they used changing
the
colour as they used colour as a character. It was wonderful.
A colour is a character. There's a violent situation. So you know, one part of the room is one part of the room is not red. So it's a reflection of the drama of the scene.
The emotion.
You know? So that's it's fine in a comic. If you were to do that in an animated cartoon, you might have problems. You may have problems. So you need continuity in terms of color, in the color storytelling, the color design in an animated cartoon. Although I have seen things like what is it, Pig, Goat, Banana, Cricket, which is designed by Dave Cooper, and it uses Dave Cooper's palette, which is extremely sophisticated for an animated cartoon show, and it works, but I think it would be very expensive. So this would be too expensive to do an animated show, I'd say. Oh, this is Shades of Hellboy. It's lovely.
Different artist.
Yeah.
Different artist.
Probably. Yeah, beautiful stuff. Okay, different art. Yeah, here's a magnificent sense of design. Let's call out to him. Let's have a look. Illustrated by Andrew McLean and coloured by Nick Filardi, different colourer and different illustrator. So, very interesting. This guy's, you know, another different colorist, different colour, sense of colour, very sort of Hellboyish. And the design again, very Hellboyish.
I can see what you mean.
Yeah, it's a beautiful sense of composition. Very much more graphic.
Snake for hands.
Yes. Shadows. This is great. This is a great one. Yeah. The colour design.
See, his head is
beautiful.
Actually the whole animal. It just sits there.
Yeah. So what is this? This is a side story, perhaps?
Well, it's a new story.
Yeah. The Ball Fondlers Special. Okay. So a little bit of innuendo happening in there. Some great stuff. There's no Rick and Morty in this story, apparently. This looks very Hellboyish. It's a lovely story. I'd love to read this. This would be my speed. Oh, so there you go. Back to Rick and Morty. So they turn the TV off and they're watching it on commercial TV. And then we're back to
Plumbus.
Yeah.
A very special Plumbus.
So it's a different artist again.
Plumbus.
Yep. Again, a different take on them. So they've got a little bit of, you know, cross-hatching happening. But colours are good.
Different colours.
Yeah. But why do they do that? It's like, no. Don't overdo it. Don't overdo it. Underdo it. If you don't overdo it, it becomes like a thing then. Some of the expressions are gorgeous. Does he do the scribble eyes? They've made him do the scribble eyes. Yeah.
Scrooge, it's Scrooge, but it's Mr. Frooge.
Yeah. So because it's in a story within a story or the past or something, it goes into a sort of a sepia to differentiate. That's a real scribble. These are great. Very cool. Very cool. Bonus shorts. Okay.
Different artists again.
Different artists again. So you got different artists, and the characters are mostly on model. They're nice. Good stuff. Very complimentary of the show. There's, I think, the original. These are set up as like shorts, a comic of short little stories. So, good stuff. Yeah. Teen angst.
I know all about that stuff.
Mm. Yeah, there's a little kawaii mouse again. Droopy mouse.
His hair.
Yeah, well, they're slightly different Ricks.
Okay.
You know, you can tell there's a different Rick because the eyes are
Yeah.
eye-eyed.
Yeah.
It's still a Rick.
You can
It's
still.
a dumb Rick. See, there's a normal Rick.
It's nostalgic.
Yeah,
A Blumber's Carol.
yeah,
Oh, it's Christmas Carol again.
yeah.
Continuation on.
And a cover gallery. So this is a collection of the comic books of the series, and these are the covers.
Ooh, that's out of
Futurama or
it's the Simpsons. Yeah.
So
Oh, these
are like pin-ups and also
from
parts
different
of the
styles. Different
Yeah.
styles. Yeah.
yeah. So you can start to see, you know, the famous
This book's good.
memes.
It's worth buying.
Yeah.
Don't just stand in the shop and look at it. Buy it.
So I love these are very popular. So you basically look at the story of the characters, the cover with different styles and things. So it's you explore it in different ways. That's good stuff. And they act as pin-ups. The obligatory X-ray of the characters, like they did of the Simpsons, the zombie versions. Zombie pickle. That's good stuff. Yeah. Oh, different experiments. These are nice. They're almost like fan art in a way, taking the bending the
Yes,
rules and
yes.
taking into other dimensions, which is kind of fun. You know, and this is like a popular thing, isn't it? Like two views of the other dimension, the parallel dimension is showing. Yeah, it's a very Ren and Stimpy
Right.
sort of
Very.
cartoon. So these are all covers and alternate covers and pin-up galleries, etc. of the episodes. The Ball Fondlers. Yeah, that's a great guy. I'll have to check out more of his work. Andrew McLean. So, this is it.
Book
This is
smells
it.
nice
This
too.
is it, yeah. So look at it all. There's a lot of covers they did. On alternate covers, retail covers, Exceed exclusives covers. So they did different covers. It's great to collect all the covers in one book. You know, they should all do that. Otherwise, you have to go and buy all the different versions of the comics. And there's some of the other books that they put out. Oni Press. Okay, so Oni Press and Adult Swim have put out Rick and Morty Book 1.
And this is Jim Bridges
And Frantz Kantor.
saying goodbye, and we'll leave the last word to
Dum, 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 dum,
Sound
dum.
chip, baby, on a comic book. Futuristic stuff. We got a sound chip up in this cover. Man, I can't believe it's sound chip. I can't believe this sound chip.
bye.